Welcome back to my suburban hell. So, today we're going to talk more about the laundry sink, and if that's not your bag, there's other videos on the channel you can enjoy. I want to start off by an apology. You see, no matter what you're talking about, there's always somebody who knows everything about that thing you're talking about. Okay? Be it a washing machine, be it a furnace, be it a frickin' laundry sink, apparently. There's always that one guy or gal who knows everything there is to know, and if you say one little thing wrong, they jump down your throat in the comments box, which is why I love YouTube comments. But really, I love the YouTube comments box. If you could see my expression, you'd know I'm being sarcastic. So, one of my viewers, apparently, who I've never seen comment on the channel before, so maybe he just jumped on the laundry sink train, because apparently he loves laundry sinks, and that's kind of, he sleeps with them, he eats with them, he watches TV with laundry. I don't know what people do with these things. He took issue with the fact that I stated that, if I recall, I said that most of these are made out of concrete or something like that. The thing is, I recorded that video about 17 times. No lie. I just kept screwing up and restarting. I'm actually on my 5th recording attempt of this video today. So, hooray for that. So I may have misspoken. It happens, guys. Deal with it. Just understand that not everybody knows everything. And even if they do, they're going to leave certain bits of information out to keep the video down to about under 5 hours, and my God, you drink water weird. Watch this guy. He dips his paw in the water and licks his paw. That's one way to do it. Getting back to the laundry sink. So he took issue with the fact that I did not say, everybody, some laundry sinks are made out of soapstone, some are made out of concrete. Sorry, I apologize. Oh my God. I think I deleted his comment. But no, the truth is, I believe, and I don't know for sure because I've tried looking for the big book of laundry sinks, and I cannot find it, nor can I find any advertisements for these things. I can't find any information on them, and I'm not the only one. And it turns out, I believe that laundry sinks made prior to World War II were more likely to be made out of something a little bit costlier and harder to work with, like soapstone. But I do believe that after the housing boom, or during the housing boom, they had to come up with a cheaper, faster way to make these, and they realized, hey, concrete, baby. And that's when they started making them. I don't know. I don't know when they started. I don't know when they stopped. I don't know when they stopped making this exact product because the information is not available. It's not. I've looked. If you have this information, do share because it is an interesting topic. Because laundry sinks, as I stated in the original video, they are really a relic of a different time when people actually washed their clothing in the laundry sink, because they didn't necessarily have the equipment like we have today. Laundry sinks still exist in plastic form. They're made by one of like 2 companies in the US, and they make them out of a very inexpensive, very flimsy plastic, because they're no longer doing a lot of heavy scrubbing in these things. I think nowadays laundry sinks are used for utility purposes, washing up in the while you're working on plants or whatever you're doing in the basement that you get dirty, you wash up in the old laundry tub. Or if you have like delicate laundry that has to be hand washed on the occasion where you have that need, that's what you use the utility / laundry sink for. But in the old days, this was as useful as that. You would have a washboard that hung on the side, and you would do your scrubbing, and a lot of these got eaten up pretty badly by laundry detergents, which is why this one is in not the greatest of cosmetic condition, but it's still functional. Which leads me into my next point. What about painting the inside of the sink? Why don't I do that? And I thought about it. I thought about painting the sink on the inside. And I can't seem to find any anyone who has done it and has shared how that has held up over time. I have a couple of paints to choose from. I actually have half of an epoxy shield kit. I only used half of it for my breezeway concrete floor, and it's holding up pretty well. But I only have half the kit left, which is more than enough to do this. I mean, really, I don't even need that much. The problem with this paint is once you put it on, getting it off is, well, very difficult. And it's designed to be permanent, but in the event that it actually fails, if the bond fails, it would be a nightmare, because I would have paint chips and flakes sloughing off into the drain, which could clog the drain, and it would take all sorts of nasty chemicals and mechanical forces to get it out of the sink completely. With that in mind, I have decided not to paint the sink and leave it its natural concrete. It is not pretty, but then again, it's a utility sink. I don't know. If you guys know if this will hold up. Now, prep work, I would actually have to acid etch this whole sink to do it correctly. It would need to be acid etched, and I don't want to do that. I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with that. I just don't. And it is porous now because the fine cement coating on the bottom has worn away, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it right now, in that regard. Whether I'm going to leave it alone or paint it. Painting it would be a positive because it would seal it up. But then again, if the paint coating fails. Now, what I do have is a concrete primer that might actually help do the job. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me think about it. And anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to start tearing all this apart so I can get some paint on this wall, maybe up to where the washing machine is, maybe a little further. And we're going to get this dry locked today. I need to get this done. So I'm going to actually unscrew these. I'm going to paint behind it. I'm going to do that. When I bought the house, this was actually hanging. They had a little block of wood sitting right here, holding this all up. I mean, really, whoever owned this house didn't put any money into it. That's for damn sure. If it could be done cheaper or not at all, that's the option they went with. But fortunately, this sink, look at this, they never actually glued the drain together. Let me show you what I mean. So the sink came with a faucet, which is still in the box. It's right there. They never used the included faucet. They used that because that was easier to do. They just really botched the whole thing. But they never actually glued the drain together. In fact, where does it separates here. Right here. See, look at that. They never glued it. So the whole thing, I could just pick it up and just take it over here. And there you go. Just like that. They did glue it, and they actually used primer, but it didn't hold very well. Anyway, I'm going to be cutting most of this out of here anyway. But yeah, we got to clean this wall up, sweep under here, take all this stuff out of here. I want to get most of this painted today, so I can move on with my life. Oh shit, the leg fell off. It looks like they put the primer on, but the glue didn't hold. Cheap. There. That's some classy workmanship right there. Let's get this stuff out of here. Let's get this cleaned up, and we're gonna start painting. So today I went and picked up some plumbing supplies. I got a new laundry machine, a new washing machine shut-off valve set. This is what your most modern homes are going to have, and most older ones, I think, too. But this guy mounts on the wall. This is if you don't have a finished wall. If you're installing your washing machine in a basement, these are what you typically find on the wall. This costs like 35 bucks. It mounts to the wall right near the machine, and you sweat fit your copper lines into this, and then on the bottom you've got your hoses where they hook up, and that's pretty much it. This is pretty typical for your washing machine shut off. There's a standard location for mounting. I've got to look up where that is. What you have here is something of an afterthought. You can see that when they mounted these valves are located within the laundry tub, which is different. This has to come out because this isn't long enough. It actually will interfere with where the sink is going. So I'm going to have to just take all of this mess apart and replace it all. I'm going to move the washing machine drain to probably right about here onto the side. That outlet won't be there, and that's going to be taken out permanently. I'm going to just cap it off, put a box up, a junction box up there where that's going to go. And we're going to leave this trap on here because it also serves to, it prevents the washing machine from flowing onto the floor. If I were to take this out and I run a wash cycle, the water will just pour right out of there. So we're going to leave that in place for now. It's only leaking because I disturbed it, but that wasn't leaking for the longest time. And I believe that's supposed to be a compression fitting right there. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, it's a good time. So we gotta clean this up. We gotta get it painted. But this goes back in the box. What kind of copper would you typically use for a job like this? I might be asking. I don't know what other people are using, but I'm using L. Copper tubing comes in two wall thicknesses, M and L. The M is about $6 for a 10-foot section, cheaper than L, but it's also thinner, a lot thinner. And I believe for an exposed plumbing run, you want to have that, you want to use the thicker of the two. Again, I am no expert. I'm not a plumber. Plumbers might have a different opinion on this, but that's just as a homeowner, I don't mind spending the extra $6 for a little bit of extra peace of mind for a thicker pipe that will be exposed and could be subject to impact and mechanical stresses. The M pipes, I have some of the I have some scrap here from other projects I did. They are a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter. Now, if you have to bend the pipe with a pipe bender, I think M is what you want because you can manipulate it very easily. I'm going to put this with all the other plumbing pieces. But I'm going to be using L. It costs more, but it's a little stronger. I got a lot of crap down here. This faucet, man, it's the only original plumbing fixture in the house, or valve, not valve, but yeah, it's the only original faucet left. And it's done. Could be rebuilt, not worth it. So before I dive headfirst into this wall painting project, I want to talk a little bit about DIY and why it can be so rewarding. So I've got a couple of stories I'm going to share with you guys, if you're willing to listen, and it might be eye-opening for you. So I'll start off with a story that impacted a good friend of mine. Let's call him Bob. Okay, so Bob is someone I've known since high school. We've been friends for over 20 years now. And Bob is the kind of guy who generally, now Bob is a very smart guy. His talents are in financial, and I think he has a degree in software engineering or something like that. Very, very bright guy. He grew up in a house where if there was a plumbing leak or any problem with the house, it was time to call a professional because, professionals know everything and they'll do it right. And his dad just wasn't a handyman type. He, like his son, was more of a, he was paid to use his brain rather than his hands. So, naturally, my friend Bob did not, when he bought his first home, did not have the mindset of that there's a problem, I'll just open the toolbox and solve it. And that doesn't make him a bad guy. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't judge people negatively who solve their problems, both automotive and household problems, with a checkbook. You know, they don't. It doesn't make them a bad person. But when my friend Bob had to have some electrical work done in his house, a very simple job, mind you, he hired an electrician to come in to solve a malfunctioning exterior outlet. This was just a couple weeks ago. And this was, I have to give him credit, because the first thing he did wasn't call this person. This is kind of heartwarming, because I've been trying to inspire my friend Bob to solve his own problems by showing him how to do things and encouraging him to get his hands dirty. And but within his comfortable limits. You know, he's watched some of my videos, I think, and he's seen that, you know, you can save a lot of money by fixing your own problems, as long as you are willing to do it right and you're willing to educate yourself on the correct ways to get jobs done, both simple and complex. So Bob had an exterior GFI outlet, like this one right here, that wasn't working anymore. It worked when he bought the house, and suddenly it stopped functioning. So he also noticed that there was a kitchen outlet that wasn't correctly working either, not consistently. So he said, well, he didn't I'm actually kind of glad he didn't call me, because he actually got to learn for himself a little bit of troubleshooting and diagnosis. He went out and he bought a new GFI outlet, because he probably Googled GFI outlet doesn't work, or outside outlet doesn't work, and he probably found the rabbit hole of, well, if it doesn't work, you can just replace it. So he went out and he bought himself a new outlet, and he took the old outlet out, put a new one in, and it still didn't work. So at this point, he thought, well, crap. He called a licensed electrician to come in. Now, the licensed electrician's job was to diagnose the issue correctly and fix it. And of course, that's going to cost you money. It's not free. It's going to cost you some money for that call. He was willing to pay it. Electrician shows up, checks out the outlet, says nothing wrong here. He went to the kitchen, the two outlets in the kitchen that were also on that circuit. He couldn't find anything wrong. He took them out of the wall, couldn't find anything wrong. So when my girlfriend and I showed up to their house about a week or two ago to have some dinner or whatever, spend some time with him, he asked about that, and I said, well, I tell you what, I've got a multimeter in my car. Let's do some sleuthing. Let's see what's going on. So I brought out my multimeter and I checked for voltage on both outlets. All three outlets were dead. All three of them. And I followed the wire down in the basement. Luckily it's not a finished basement, so I followed that wire to the fourth outlet that it connects to. It's actually, I think there's 4 or 5 outlets on that circuit, which is totally fine. Fourth outlet works fine. Third one to the end, nothing. It was okay, why don't we take this outlet out and take a look at it? First I checked his work on the GFI outlet that he placed himself. And I was very proud of my friend Bob. I said, Bob, you did a fantastic job. This outlet is installed correctly. The lugs are nice and snug, not over-tightened, not too loose. Perfect. You did a fantastic job. He even got the wire at the right direction going around the lugs. So it's like, dude, you got this. And he felt good about himself, because he should. He did a fantastic job. He did it himself, and he should be proud of that. But then I said, okay, what did the electrician do? So he told me the 2 outlets the electrician took out and found nothing wrong. This is a licensed electrician. This is a guy that you trust. The guy that and he charged him too. He charged him good and hard, $100 to do this. And I said, all right, show me where the electrician touched you. No, so we took the outlets out on that circuit, the two other ones that don't work. And number 2 outlet from the end, perfectly fine, nothing wrong, okay. Number 3, on the other hand, that's where we ran into some problems. The number 3 outlet from the end of that chain, all 4 lugs were loose. And I'm not talking hand tight, I'm talking loose, like loose as your mom. They were so loose that I could see little traces of carbon arcing. And I said, listen, Bob, I don't want to scare you. But not only did that electrician screw you and screw you hard, but he also could have caused a fire. I said, Bob, if you plugged an air conditioner into that outlet, either one of those 2 outlets, which is where the window is, which is logically where he's going to put his air conditioner in the summer, and it worked correct, let's say it worked fine for a little while. What's going to happen is those loose lugs are going to start to create heat because there's a lot of resistance there. A loose connection causes resistance, electrical resistance, which creates heat in its most simplistic terms. And that, my friends, is how house fires can easily start. And I said, you are lucky that didn't happen, because had it happened, well, the good news is he would hopefully have a receipt somewhere that says an electrician messed with it and was not able to fix it because the electrician didn't do his job. I kind of wonder if the electrician sent an apprentice over under his license. That could be the case. Oh, I can't take this job. It's an easy one. Why don't you take it? Because you're an apprentice and you need work. That can happen. Anyway, I got to answer my phone. So I just took a couple of measurements and I discovered that this drain is actually going to be just fine for the new sink. Well, the old sink. This will work out just fantastically. May have to replace this elbow though. So what I'll probably do, yeah, it's leaking from this. I think I disturbed it. I'm gonna have to replace these seals, which I have new ones. But that drain is actually positioned just right. Because it's adjustable, I can swing it in and out. It'll work for my purposes. The only thing I've got to do is I've got to cut this Schedule 40 pipe here and extend it. I can reuse, I can't reuse any of this because it's already glued, but I'm going to cut this, bing, and extend it a little bit further back so that I can relocate the washer drain. I'm also going to strap the drain to the wall like it's supposed to be. So all of this PVC is fine. I'm going to sand and re-adhere this. I'll probably do that right now so it doesn't leak anymore. So that's all reusable. I just put the base in position and sure enough, there's no issues. It's going to be fine. I don't have to replace any of this. There's nothing wrong with it, so why replace it, right? So back to my story. So my friend, Bob, he learned a little bit of, so I explained to him some of what I know about how electrical connections work and how to make them tight enough so that they don't create a situation. The person who screwed that outlet up even the worst, besides the electrician, was the original installer who installed it when he bought the house. The whole house had been rewired by a house flipper who probably did the whole job without a license, did it without any permits of any kind. And that's what you got to watch out for when you buy a pre-existing home that was recently renovated. You know, when I see a house for sale that, you know, the whole big deal about that house is, oh my God, it's recently renovated. That scares me, because it means that somebody went into that house with a mindset of making a profit and put the cheapest faucets, the cheapest flooring, the cheapest of everything, just because it's brand new and shiny, because it throws off house buyers, especially younger house buyers who don't have the experience in home run. They just, it's their first house. They're excited. Young couples are especially susceptible to this because it has, oh wow, it has an automatic faucet. Whoop-de-friggin-do, that automatic faucet is going to break in 5 years, and now you're going to have to replace the damn thing. You know, so when I went to go buy this house, when I went to go buy well, this isn't my first house, but the house that I planned on spending the rest of my life in, I decided to buy something that wasn't renovated, that nobody's messed with, except for a few little odd things like this. You know, I sought out this house because I knew that this type of a house was built correctly the first time, and as long as nobody's come in and HGTV'd the hell out of it, it'll be here for a lot longer than I need it for, so to speak. Again, DIY is such a rewarding thing for any homeowner because you learn new skills as you move along. You do some research, you go on YouTube, you watch a couple of videos, and then you start to get more and more familiar with the terminology, with the, with just how systems are put together, be it, framing, be it plumbing, be it electrical, and you start to learn a lot in the process. When I bought this house 2 years ago, I didn't really know anything. But as I progressed and as I learned and as I researched and failed in some instances and triumphed in others, it is such a rewarding experience. I have another story to tell you. So I was talking with one of my girlfriend's relatives. We were just kind of sitting at the kitchen. It was a little holiday gathering, very small. We socially distanced and we wore masks. But her cousin's husband and I were talking in the kitchen table while the women were in the living room, kind of talking about whatever they were. That's funny. Did I catch that on video? He jumped in midair. And we're just kind of talking. Now, he is a very, very, very wealthy guy. He made all the right decisions in life. He went to the right schools and got the right jobs. And he works in IT like I do, but he's way up here and I'm way down here. And we were talking about not renovations, but DIY projects and stuff. And he actually hired a professional contractor to add a second floor to his ranch house, who left him high and dry and cost him tens and thousands of dollars in the end because the guy walked off the job. Didn't weatherproof the house, just framed it and walked away. So he had to hire another contractor to finish it up. He's calibrating. Attack! Calibrating. Anyway, there he goes. So we were talking about, the joy of DIY, and he said, and he was now this is a guy who generally doesn't do his own repairs because he can afford to pay someone to do it for him. And he had a situation kind of like what I'm doing here. He had a utility sink in his garage, and he decided one day, because he's working from home now, and it's like he got bored, he wanted to fix it up. So he showed me the pictures, and I said, my God. So what he did was he took an old rusty utility sink and tore it out, and he put in a nice, I think he used hardwood, kind of like this stuff here. He put in like a butcher block counter like this, and he put a nice, beautiful polyurethane finish on it. He built a cabinet underneath. He did it all himself. He did all of his homework on YouTube, which is totally fine. That's what I do. And he made it beautiful. He found a sink at Home Depot that was a nice little square basin. He put that in, and he painted the walls. He put in some nice backsplash. He did it all himself, and it's probably one of his first DIY projects, but he was so excited and so passionate about how it came out, and And like, that is exactly what it's about. It's not about being cheap. It's not about, you know, not trusting contractors. Like, I don't trust anybody anymore. But, you know, it's about learning. It's about making your home, truly your home. Because there was a time when you could go to Sears. Well, you wouldn't go there. You would mail in for a catalog, and you could pick out a house that you wanted. Sears would manufacture all the pieces, pre-cut everything you needed for that house, load it into one or more rail cars, and ship it to your town. And you would just have it trucked to your building site, and you and your family would build that house yourselves. That was a thing. You know, Americans were far more self-reliant in those days. And prior to that, prior to the advent of the Sears house, you would build your own house from scratch using whatever materials you could find. And a lot of those houses are still standing. But we now live in a society where the house that you buy is just for now until you decide to upgrade. It's all about upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. Houses are no longer looked upon as a generational purchase where you buy a house and you hand it down and hand it down to the next. No, nowadays buying a house is an investment, and they're looked upon in a far more short-term approach. You know, so you buy a house today and your plan is to sell it when you decide to upgrade, because we have to keep upgrade, you know, until we're completely so saddled with debt that we have to work until we're 95. It's the American way. You know, someone will buy a ranch house like this, and then they'll put 2 more floors on it. Then they'll flip it, they'll sell it. It's like, guys, this is why we can't have nice things, because we keep throwing away stuff that is perfectly fine for new stuff that's shiny and new. And I'm ranting now. Anyway, I gotta get on this. I gotta start cleaning up that wall. I'm gonna actually see if I can save that plumbing. I think I have some new seals for it. I should have some in my plumbing box. Yeah, don't hit that. Let's see what I got. I'm going to show you what I use. I have never, ever had a problem with these seals. If I have any left, I don't think I do. Let's see. This one? No. That's a cap. Drain washer. Nope. I might have to go buy some seals. Well, that's better than buying a whole new set of PVC. Matte gas, that's what you want to use. Oh, here they are. So, there's a couple of different sizes, but these little rubber washers, that's what I use for slip fit connections like that. They never leak. The plastic ones do. These don't. I've never had a rubber one leak, but I've had a lot of plastic ones go bad. This has got water in it, so let's try to be nice about this here. Yeah, a little bit of water. Let me dump this out. Alright, what we got here is just a plastic mechanical connection. There's no rubber in there. Let me just take this off, and I'm going to clean this all up. Bring it upstairs. We'll clean it up. I'm going to take my seal with me. So we cleaned up these pieces a little bit. So here's an example of one of these seals. Now, this is a hard plastic one. They're not supposed to leak, but again, these rubber ones, they never fail. I use them everywhere. This one here, I'm probably going to replace it with a rubber seal. But these are very cheap plumbing pieces. This whole kit probably cost $10 if I were to buy a new one. This right here is where we need to re-glue this, and we're going to do that. We're going to do that now. We're going to re-prime it, and we're going to re-seal it, or re-glue it with the correct stuff. Yeah. Well, I was going to show you guys how to use PVC cement, but unfortunately, after 2 years, mine has gone bad. So that's okay. We'll just add it to the shopping list. But in the meantime, I'm going to take some 400 grit sandpaper and we're going to clean this fitting up a little bit. You can see that they use, now this is a useful tidbit of information, but if you're doing this kind of work, you want to make sure you're using primer. Now this purple stuff comes in a can like this. Smells wonderful. Really, oh my god, it smells so wonderful. I'm getting high just thinking about it. But you want to use that primer on here, and then you use your PVC cement. If you do not use primer, now there's a reason it's dyed purple. Now another thing about PVC, if I wanted to replace this fitting right here, I can't. I can't cut any of this out because it's this stuff, when it's done correctly, it bonds permanently to the PVC. It's basically a chemical weld. You cannot undo any of this. If I have to fix any of these fittings here, it's basically a complete redo. All of this has to go. That's just the way it is with PVC. It all has to be completely ripped out. But this 2-inch or 1.5-inch pipe here, if I want to replace that or extend it, it's not that hard. I just cut it with my saw and put in a fitting a union right here. Throw it in, and I can continue on the run. But this stuff here can't be disturbed. It kind of scares me that this fitting failed. The other one seemed to be okay. This one completely failed, and this is what we got. See, this is a section here that has never been coated. This is the only part of this basement that has not been coated. Again, the homeowner or somebody came in here after the sink was installed and coated all the walls with a black, kind of a tar-like substance. But anyways, I want to point something out. So you'll notice that if you ever go into a lower cost home from the post-war housing boom, like for example a Levitt townhome, you'll notice that all the plumbing is minimal. What they would do and to keep costs down, this is not a good example of this because the kitchen sink is way over there, the bathroom's over here. They actually had to run a cast iron line from here to there under the slab. So this is not a good example of that type of construction, but my friend Bob's house, for example, his house was built by a company that built bazillions of houses all over southern New Hampshire and northern Massachusetts. And on their ranch homes and their Cape Cod style homes, what they would do to keep plumbing costs down, they had all the plumbing in one part of the house. So they had one drain. In his case, it goes through the wall, and it goes up to the toilet over here. The kitchen sink, so the toilet's right there. The kitchen sink is on the other side of the wall right here. The bathroom is all over here, so there's not a lot of plumbing in that house. And then the laundry stuff is all right here too. So they kept all the plumbing in one location. But what's kind of interesting is if they were building, a whole neighborhood of houses that shared that layout, the plumbers would actually pre-assemble all the plumbing. They would have a little production line, and they would assemble and solder all the plumbing for the house, for all the houses. And that way they could just transport pre-assembled sections of plumbing to whichever home needed it, throw it in, and it was done. It's kind of ingenious, but in order to do that, the architect who designed the home had to have that in mind. I mean, chances are houses like that weren't really designed by an architect, but by the builder, and they would just, draw the plans out. I mean, there were no architectural features in a house like that, really. It's just a box with windows and a door. Problem. I put a little bit of stress on this pipe here just kind of flexing it away, not much, and it just let go. So I've decided I'm gonna rebuild all of this. There's no other way. So this has to be redone. I don't trust what they did. I'm going to start cutting this apart. I have to run to Home Depot right now and get all the stuff I need before they close. But yeah, this is why messing with plumbing can be stressful, because especially if somebody did the job before you and didn't do it right. They either screwed it up beyond belief. In my case, now that primer does not work as an adhesive. That is not what it is. I think they either did not properly adhere the pipes together. They screwed it up. Because anyway, that does not give me confidence that I'm not going to have problems in the future after I put all this work into it. So I'm going to have to go down to square one. I'm going to go to Home Depot. I'm going to buy all the shit I need. I just took a picture of all the fittings I got. Got a 45, I got a couple of T's, I got this, I got that. Drain plug. I'm going to put it all together, and we're going to just do it over. We're not messing with this anymore. Okay, so I just got back from the Home Depot, and I have everything I need to recreate what we have, because, as I said, everything we have here actually works. So, what do we got? All kinds of goodies. Even bought a new PVC pipe saw. Hacksaws work just as well, but they make one for PVC pipes. So let me make sure I got the right cup, the right fitting here. So it's a good approximation of what's there. Okay, and I got that. I got a new trap for over here. We got some 45s. I got this piece here. This should be the same thing as this, and it is. I've got a 45 for that. We're in business. I even got a complete drain kit. We're going to replace that too. So that's going to need some customizing. We're going to shorten it up. This is actually, I believe, a slightly better quality. But the only thing Home Depot sells is polypropylene. I don't like polypropylene drains, but that's what they have. So that's that. Okay, so now I gotta build. It's like Tinker Toys. I need to cut a couple of sections of PVC pipe to make unions. So I gotta measure this and figure out what that's gonna be. So my tape measure, right there. So this is all 1.5 inch, schedule 40. So we measure about halfway in there, maybe a little more. We need something about 3 inches long. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to mark my pipe here. Suggested that you make a fixture that lets you, it's almost like using a miter saw to cut this, but I'm just not going to do that. Let's see how this goes. I think I can cut this pretty straight, just on my own. So let's drag the saw through it. I've got the pipe in a clamp. Good. Now we got to deburr this. We got to deburr the pipe with sandpaper. I had some 400 grit over here. So we're just going to take our sandpaper and I'm going to deburr it a little bit on the inside and the outside. It's not perfect, but it's better than what was there, for sure. All right. So for our first thing we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to take, this is the clean out that I bought. That's to replicate this. What we're going to do is we're going to first take some, I've got some, a couple of different things. Now, I read that you're not supposed to, or you shouldn't use the all-purpose cement. It's designed for several different kinds of plastic piping. There's CPVC, PVC, other different ones, but an ABS. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to use what I have. I didn't think to do anything different, so we're going to take some clear cleaner, and the instructions for this. Let's see, dry fit. Use a suitable applicator. Let's see. Really though, before you do anything with priming or cleaning, you really should test fit everything to make sure that you've got all what you need and it's all correct. So let's do some of that first. So I'm just dry fitting these pieces together, and just to make sure that we're where we need to be. That actually needs a 45 right there. So that's going to be a 45 right there. We're not going to push everything too tight because guess what? Yes, it will get stuck, and then you'll be a pissed off mofo. Then we're going to take our tape measure and we're going to measure this piece here. That's in the middle there. That's about 1 inch or 2. So I'm going to cut a pipe that's, let's see, yeah, we can go pretty much all the way in there. Okay, we're going to do about 1, and I'm going to just make it 2 inches. I think that'll be fine. Was that 6 inches from the wall? That has to be, so 6 inches from the wall. Sink center is going to be right about here. So if I shorten that up a little bit, it's actually going to be beneficial. That has to be 6 inches. Why don't we make it 1 3/4 of an inch or so. We'll take a little bit out of that joint. Yeah. Alright, so now we can put the next trap, or the next, it's called a Y joint. Put that in here. And we're going to push these in a little tighter when we really start getting into the assembly. So next we need to look at our adapter from the 2-inch galvanized threaded connector over here. I had to make that out of this piece and this reducer, just like that. These I'm going to compress together in the vise because they're very tight fitting and I want them in together all the way, so I think that'll be about right. Okay, they did it a little bit differently here, but we're not gonna do what they did. All right, so now we have to remove this shit. Let's just take this apart. There's some uncured paint. Alright, I'll just take, oh my god. That's beautiful. Well, that's a mess. That's disgusting. Let's take a look. Now remember, this is only sanitary. This is like washing machine water, so it's not anything terribly gross, but it's all gunked up inside this fitting. Man. Alright, well, I'm going to try to do something with that. Okie dokie. Oh my god. That's so gross. Yuck. Oh, that's just gross. Now, I talked about how awesome it is to DIY stuff, you know, in your home, and it can be very rewarding, but it can also be very stressful. You see, the thing is, look at that shit. The thing is, all right, plumbing can be bad. Plumbing is really one of the areas where a lot of homeowners and DIYers just want to throw up their hands and say, screw this, I'm hiring a plumber. And it's easy to see why, because there are just so many ways that even minor plumbing repairs can turn into just shit. Literally, in some cases. Especially in an older home. Now we're going to break this stuff up as much as we can. I probably should send a snake or something down there, but this is just the galvanized neck, and these tend to get really bad real fast. I've got a bathroom drain, a bathroom sink drain that is just an accident waiting to happen. It is the only galvanized, well, besides this little piece here, the only piece of active galvanized drain left in the house, besides this. The rest of it is cast iron and PVC. But that one, I'm going to have to open up a closet wall to tear out and replace. Eventually, it will have to happen. So off camera, I pre-assembled this adapter. This is going to hopefully thread on, and it doesn't because I bought the wrong size. It turns out this is 1.5 inch, I think. So back to the drawing board I go. This was a waste. I have to go back to the store, and we need to replace the rest of it. Damn it all to hell. I mismeasured it as 2 inches. It's only 1.5, so it's only off by a little bit, right? So for connecting to this galvanized threaded pipe here, we have a couple of options. Two, to be precise. We have this, which is a thread-on adapter, and if we cannot use these threads for one reason or another, we have another option. I'm going to get a wire brush and try to clean these up a little bit. Threads look pretty good overall. Normally a plumber would have a galvanized pipe cutter and threading machine on the job, and this will thread run just fine, although it does look like it might be cross threading a little bit, so we don't want that. So we're going to try to get this on. I think it'll be let's see, does that look good or not? I think it's going on just fine. Yeah, it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some thread sealer. This stuff is great. This is Hercules Megalock, and I'm going to apply it liberally to the pipe. And let's see. Apply into the root of clean, dry male threads. Assemble, joint, and apply proper torque. Okay. And this stuff does not require any setup, it just works. I'm going to mix it up in the can here a little bit. I actually have another can of this somewhere. Okay. This is good for gas, water, it's good stuff. So we're just going to apply it liberally into the threads. This is a good, I've used this as a replacement for Teflon in a lot of different applications, except for pneumatic. I haven't had luck with pneumatic tools and those sorts of things, but you want to really slather this shit on there because it works. It really works. almost instantly. So just really get it in there. It's very thick. Good stuff though. In reality, I mean, probably should have the entire fitting replaced all the way down to the Y coming out of the floor. This is a lead and oakum joint, which I don't have the equipment for. I'm just a homeowner, so. Okay. Just gonna clean this up a little bit. Alright. And we're gonna just thread it in very carefully. I'm gonna back it up to the starting threads. There. Okay, you can see it's not really going on very far. I think that's enough. Maybe a little more. Now, if you saw the way it came apart, it didn't look good. They didn't have it threaded on very far. Either that, or the end of the pipe corroded away. Both of those are very possible, because it didn't take much. It was not even a full turn to get it off. So, it's kind of a good thing that we did all this, because we would have had a much bigger problem in no time at all, really. Clean up the excess. There. Look at that. Beautiful. So now all we need to do is cut about maybe 1 to 2 inches of PVC, stick it in there, and move forward. Alright, so I'm now test fitting a few pieces together to make sure that this is all going to work. I'm more concerned about the sink drain part rather than the washer drain. There's a lot of forgiveness here, not so much over here. So I want to find out where the dead center of that drain is in relation to the wall. The sink will be pushed up as far against the wall as humanly possible. So all we got to do is measure the center of the drain outlet to the wall. Now the height is variable. We can change the height, but we cannot change the depth so much. So we're looking at about 6 inches from the wall, give or take, you know, 1/4 of an inch. So when I set this up, I want to make sure that that drain, this is all mocked up. Again, you test fit everything before you assemble. I'm going to put about a 1 to 2 inch fitting on where it hits the main drain line, but I want to make sure that I can make that that drain, or the P-trap, sorry. Yeah, okay, so right now I'm way off. There's no way that's going to work. So what if I push it in a little farther? Now that's as far as it'll go in. It's stopped up there. I've already shortened it a little bit, and I got to shorten it up even more. So that's going to be a problem. Now, if I were to rotate this a little bit and maybe go that way with it, how will that work? 4, okay. What I can do is I'm looking at where the center is going to be. I'm going to actually end up probably moving the sink over about 1 inch, or I could cut a little bit off of this tube. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut a little bit off of this tube, maybe about 1/2 inch or so. Alright, now I'm going to pretend that I'm holding I'm going to actually, you know, I'm going to cut a piece of PVC to put over on this side so I can just kind of hold it in place. Alright, so we got it all mocked again. Okay, here we go. So I need to make sure that I can make this drain land exactly where I need it to be. Now, all of this is all infinitely adjustable. It doesn't stay that way. It doesn't get glued in place. Alright, so I just did a quick test fit here, and it looks like if I'm going to make 6 inches from the wall, that's going to move the sink over about 2 or 3 inches. So we need to cut a little bit more off of here to make that mark. You see what I'm saying? Just a little bit more. Alright. Okay, now that looks good. And whatever that happens to be, I will live with. So that puts us right about there. So the sink is going to have to come over a wee bit just to make that transition, but that's okay. As far as the drain height, I believe I measured it, it'll be 17 inches from the ground, about here. So that gives us more than enough room for a proper drain line. Now, I think we're happy with what we've got going on here. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark off the, make sure everything is good and plumb. And, let's see. Should probably take a level to this. But I'm going to just, what we're going to do now is we're going to get a black marker. And we're going to put marks wherever these pipes have to line up. Okay. So for this one, yeah, I think we'll be okay. All right, let's get all that marked up. All right, since the cleaner and the primer products will both destroy the adhesion, I'm sorry, we'll remove. Let's try that again. I think the fumes are getting to me. Let's try that again. So what's going to happen is as soon as we start to mark this up, that marker will come right off as soon as we hit it with the cleaner and the primer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean and prime everything. Once again, I'm going to test fit it all. Let's get the cleaner out. There's some cleaner on that. Cleaner on that. This just removes any oils and stuff like that. Not sure if it's necessary. I don't think it is, but... And you don't want to use the cleaner and the primer on ABS. This is non-ABS plastic, so we're good there. Okay, so I'm going to just take all my pieces apart. I'm going to hit it all with a cleaner. This stuff evaporates nearly instantaneously. I believe it's MEK, methyl ethyl ketone. I'm just going to clean all my fittings. Set them aside. Okay. Yep. Probably not good for your hands and fingers and shit. Just take it all apart. Once we hit it with a cleaner, we'll hit it with a primer. We'll hit it all with the adhesive. Now I suspect that the previous plumbers here, whoever, whether it was a plumber or just a homeowner or just whoever, I think what happened was they started reassembling stuff and they forgot to glue a few pieces. And that is what I suspect. They started cleaning and maybe primed it, but they just stuck everything together and left it that way. Whether they deliberately did it or not, I don't know. Alright, we're going to go up to that point, and then after we do all this, we'll work on the washer connection. So, did I get this piece? Yeah. Okay. And we'll get that done. Alright, so let's hit it all with the primer. Again, you know, the primer is critical. Oh, see these? Aha! Almost got me. There's a label on this one. Right where it shouldn't be. That label would prevent an adequate seal. Any seal for that matter. Let's take that shit off. And the cleaner takes it right off. Look at that. No more residue. Okay, so let's get the purple stuff. Yeah, right? That freaking faucet is leaking to mock me, I swear to God. Still leaking, Brandon. Because I can. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. Plumbing is trolling me, folks. Let that dry. A little bit goes a long way, son. Alright. Clean all my pieces. Clean all my Reese's Pieces. Primed and cleaned and prepped and cured and... Damn it. I got all ruined. I gotta wipe them. Yes. I'll clean all that off. Maybe that's what it's for. I've never seen my dad use that product before. He's always just used the primer, so... Again, I don't know if it's necessary or what. But we're gonna do what we're gonna do, so... There we go, put that over there. Alright, mystery solved. 45, and then I had a shorty here. Let's get the schmutz off of it. There's a shorty there. Once that adhesive goes on, we have no more than like 10 seconds. That's it. 10 seconds, and it's done. And there's no undo button. None. And that's how it goes together. Okay. Okay, and it'll all be compressed a little bit more once we get the adhesive on there. So now what we got to do is we got to mark off their positions. Where are they going to go? Well, brought a marker with me. Okay, so I'm going to put a mark with my marker here. Bang, bang, and bang. So that's where those need to be. This comes into play in a little bit, I assure you. Going to mark off where they should be. These don't matter, but these do. Okay, and that doesn't matter because that's not. All right. Now this is where we can up the ante a little bit and make sure these are nice and tight because they will evaporate. Okay. All right, so let's work this apart. Got everything cleaned and primed and prepped. Okay, I brought this hammer in case we need to give anything a little loving tap. I'm going to put adhesive around this fitting here. Nice and smooth, nice and even. Not too much, not too little, come on. A little bit much, alright. I'm going to pop it into here. And I rotate it a quarter of a turn. Back and forth. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the male end. You want to put everything together a quarter of a turn off. That's why the marks are important. Quarter of a turn off of its normal orientation and then rotate it a quarter of a turn back. And that is how you assure a proper fit. And believe me, this stuff is not forgiving. If you get it wrong the first time, there is no going back. Important to note. Get this piece off. There we go. We're going to just get it around there, nice. That's good. That's in all the way. Look at that. And within just a few minutes, these pieces will be ready to support water drainage. It's just that simple. It really is. If you did your job right. Seems like a little too much adhesive. I think the applicator is a bit generous. I didn't mark this one off, did I? I didn't. Notice how I'm applying it only to the male end. That is the right way to do it. according to the instructions I read, and the videos I've watched. There we are. It's so pretty. It's like artwork. No, I almost made a grave mistake. That's alright, I cannot do that. It'll be alright. Okay. You'll notice the mistake I made in just a minute. I didn't glue in this one. So I'm going to have to wait for that to set up, and I'll be able to go back and do it. Seems like I'm getting way too much of this stuff on there. I'm way more self-aware than I look, I assure you. But this stuff, it just immediately, there's no going back. We screw this up, we'll have to start all over. Because we're not dealing with large lengths of pipe here, we're dealing with short fittings, and the fittings are what cost money. 10 feet of pipe, that's like $6. But these fittings are a couple bucks a piece. So you don't want to be screwing this up. There we go. There we go. That worked just fine. Now how this glue actually works, it's a lot like super glue. It melts the plastic and it permanently fuses it together. There is no going back. Once it's on for life. So let's confirm that we can get a 6-inch drain opening, at least close to where we want it. Pretty much exactly dead on. That is almost completely dead on, guys. And I can shorten it a little bit more, and I can get a slightly closer shave. So this is all looking good. Now we got to look at why this failed. Let's take a look. I'm going to take this up apart a little bit. Oh, this freaking valve is really pissing me off. Okay. All right. So this is the joint that failed, and you can see, oh my, it's sludgy. You know, I see evidence of adhesive, but I don't know. Let's throw this outside. So because I'm putting the original sink back, I had to rethink the plumbing to the washer drain. So because this stand goes up against the wall, there is no good way to, you can't just run the pipe across. So I had to do about 4 45-degree angles to bump it out to give it room for the leg. So that happened. So all of this is unassembled. I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to cement all this together. This is all just press fit for, you know, for demo purposes. So I'm going to clean, prep, prime, and glue all of this now. Okay, this is not a spaceship. This is our new laundry drain. What do you think? Doesn't it look nice? And it's gonna go right here. It's gonna fit into this pipe here, and it's gonna, you know, do its thing. Then we're gonna put a pipe. It's about 30 inches long. Into that. I'm going to anchor this sucker to the wall, so it will no longer be weighing down the entire drain assembly like it was before. It's funny how that didn't. Well, alright, okay. Okay, so we got the new drain put in. It's set to 40 inches from the floor. Minimum is 30 or 33 inches, but I wanted mine to be 40 inches up. It is bolted. It is anchored to the wall. I actually used, I'm no longer buying tap cons because they suck. I really don't like using tap cons. So I'm using these, their products under the Redhead brand, Poly Set. They're basically mollies for concrete, and they're strong and they're easy to install. I just hate having to use a hammer drill to put in those damn Tapcons, and they always slip. I always strip the freaking heads up. I'm tired of them. So these are a little bit easier to work with, and as strong as an ox. So I think this drain's ready to be used at this point. I'm going to put the washing machine back. You can see I set it up so that the stand fits nicely. Very happy about that. Another day, another dollar. That doesn't apply here. Actually, it kind of does. So here's the story. Now, this is literally the first time I have ever done PVC work. I've done plenty of copper. Never done PVC drain lines before. You might notice it looks a little bit different from previous shots, and that's because I had to redo this section. So remember when I said there is no undo or back button on PVC. Once it's together, it's there for life. So if you screw up, you have to find the nearest straight section of pipe, cut there, and do your work, do your repairs from that point back or forward. In this case, I had a leak at this union right here, or what was here, where the two pipes joined together. They did not properly seat. You're supposed to hold the pipe together for about 30 seconds or so, and what happened was it backed out on me. So at first, everything looked fine. There were no apparent leaks. Everything was great and hunky-dory. And then I came down here in the this morning, and I noticed a couple drips of water underneath that union. Now, I'm not going to... Now, okay, some homeowners would just go ahead and grab the silicone tape that they sell at the hardware store, and they would just wrap it and call it a day. I don't work that way. It's either done right or it's not done at all. So, I took my PVC pipe, I cut right here. I lost about that much pipe. And then I did some improvements. I actually put, instead of a 1.5 inch or whatever minimum length between these two, I actually extended it to a 3-inch joint. So that gives me more room to move that that concrete sink base. I can actually kind of have a little bit more wiggle room in either direction. So that actually was kind of a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say. There's no such thing as an accident, but happy little failures, or whatever the hell he said. I don't know. All right, so I redid all this again from here forward, and I ran the washing machine for the first time, and there are no leaks. What I did notice, and I'm going to disclose this because I want you to... This is real life, guys. When the washing machine drains, and it's always done this, it does back up a little bit into the sink, but only a little bit. And the reason for that is... So, I'm trying to think of how I could, if I were to care enough to solve this problem. So what happens is when the water comes out of the washing machine, it follows that normal path, but because I think there's a little bit of restriction in that pipe right there, it doesn't flow freely, and I'm wondering if maybe I ran a snake down that pipe, it might actually help the situation. So I'm thinking that there's some little bit of a restriction in this elbow here, in that it's not a 60 degree. I think it's a 60 degree elbow. There might be some buildup in there. So I'm probably going to do, and that's why that clean out is there, is I'm going to run a snake down there and clean it out a little bit. But anyone with a plumbing, anyone with a plumbing degree, there is no plumbing degree, anyone who's a certified plumber or a licensed plumber is probably going to tell me exactly why this is happening, and it's probably due to the, the pipe's not at the right level or something like that. But it's not that big a deal. In fact, in my old condo, whenever the dishwasher drained, the water in the sink would rise up a little bit, and there was That's just how it was done. So this is all set. There are no leaks. Everything's good and happy. Yeah, actually no, that drain fitting does leak, but I knew it would. I didn't put a new seal on it, and this is only temporary. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of show you guys step by step, what it's like to you want to solve one problem and you end up with 10 more problems, and then you fix it and nope, there's another problem. Plumbing is like that, especially on older homes. Especially homes with if you're house hunting right now, if you're out looking for a home and you find a great deal on a fixer-upper like this, and it's got galvanized plumbing throughout the house, probably plan on replumbing all the drains, because that is a reality with galvanized plumbing. You go down in the basement and you look under the bathtub and the sinks and you see this stuff, that is what you want to avoid, because anytime you see galvanized plumbing, it's been there for probably 60 plus years and it is probably in rough shape. And as I stated earlier, I've got one original galvanized actively in use galvanized pipe in the house, and that is in the bathroom sink. And to replace that pipe, which I will have to do at some point, is I have to open up a wall. Thankfully it's a closet wall, and I have to tear it out. But for the most part, all of it's already been replaced in this house with Schedule 40 PVC, so I don't have to worry so much. Cast iron is nice because, so cast iron drains like this one, these are not a problem as long as they're not leaking. And you want to check, if you're looking at a house to buy and you haven't paid for an inspection yet, one of the things they're going to check for is if these lead and oakum seals are leaking or seeping. My parents' previous house was built in the 1860s and likely plumbed probably in the 1880s or 1890s, and every single one of these joints was leaking. And this one's got a couple of them, only a few of them, but none of them are leaking. So that can all be repaired. If you find that your house has leaking joints on the cast iron pipes, you're going to want to hire a plumber to do that, because they're going to have all the equipment to do it. There's a special fitting that goes over this. It's like a mold, and you pour the lead in, or the solder in the top. The oakum part comes in when they have to pack the joint with this. It's like a fibrous substance. It's a natural, like a fiber. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it gets packed into the joint, and then they fill the rest of it with lead. And it's actually a lead, I think it's tin lead solder is what it is. But those, these fittings can last, 100 years before they start leaking. But once they do, it's important to get them fixed fairly quickly. But every once in a while, maybe run a pipe snake through this to remove any buildup along the walls. I'm considering having that done just preemptively. Just have a plumber come in and run a snake through the whole thing, just to clean it out and make sure I don't have any major problems down the road. But these pipes can last more than 150 years. I mean, there's so many of these types of cast iron pipes in service that have been in service for about that long. But one of the nice things about cast iron drains is that they're quiet. So if somebody flushes a toilet or takes a shower, you don't hear that constant tinny sound of water rushing through a pipe. They're virtually silent, and that's why a lot of people like these. But anyway, I think that'll conclude the video. In the next video, I'm going to hopefully get that giant sink in place. It weighs so much, I'm going to have to hire an army to move it. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how I'm going to get it in here at this point. It's just. I tried deadlifting it myself. I cannot do it. I can get up about 5 or 6 inches off the cart. That's not going to be enough. So I might have to borrow my dad's engine hoist, and I'm actually thinking about how I'm going to rig it up with an engine hoist. That might actually do it. Put some straps under the sink and just lift it with that and roll it into position. You can't turn, but you can roll straight into the location where it's going and then drop it down, and and finagle it in there that way. But until then, we'll see what happens. So once again, no leaks. Everything works fine. If I made some mistakes and you're a plumber or you know better, please mention it in the comments. I'm not too ashamed, or what's the word? I'm not too proud of my work to the point where if I screwed it up, I'm willing to. You get what I'm saying? All right, that's it.
I'm very